قصف من
That was the moment an Israeli missile struck the Al-Mawasi area in Khan Yunis on Sunday, hitting tents housing Palestinians who've been displaced time and again by Israel's attacks on the Strip. The attack was part of Israel's intensified assault on Gaza called Operation Gideon's Chariot. Israel's attacks have killed more than 300 Palestinians in the 72 hours to Monday morning. And those airstrikes intensified in Khan Yunis this morning. Israel is reported to have bombed Gaza's second largest city more than 30 times in an hour, with some 50 Palestinians reported killed in the onslaught. Today's heightened attack followed shortly after this evacuation order from the Israeli military's Arabic spokesperson, warning of an unprecedented attack on the city and instructing Palestinians to move to Al-Mawasi. Now, that's the same Al-Mawasi that was bombed on Sunday. But the Israeli attack on Khan Yunis today doesn't seem to have been just about killing Palestinian civilians. According to Israel's Ynet, the deadly bombing was cover for an Israeli military operation, one that involved commandos dressing in women's clothing to reach their target. And their target was Ahmad Saran, a senior commander in the Al-Nasser Salah al-Din brigades. Ynet reports this. According to accounts gathered by Hamas-affiliated Safa news agency, a white bus arrived on Mars Street in the Al-Mahata neighborhood early Monday morning, appearing to carry displaced women and their belongings. Witnesses said 9 individuals dressed in women's clothing, some veiled, others with exposed faces, exited the bus and stormed Sarhan's home, shooting him dead and arresting his wife and children. Roughly 4 hours later, the Al-Nasser Salah al-Din brigades publicly acknowledged Sarhan's death. The house had previously been damaged by an Israeli airstrike, witnesses said. The operation reportedly lasted about 20 minutes and included intensive aerial support. Witnesses described hearing gunfire from inside the house before the force quickly withdrew under cover of heavy Israeli airstrikes. You often hear sort of the Israelis sort of accusing the Palestinians of trickery. You know, they say this humanitarian aid is going to civilians, it's actually going to Hamas, and now they're in Gaza dressing as refugees so that they can assassinate people. Israel's escalation in its bombing campaign against Gaza follows an announcement by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that he's revising the country's policy on humanitarian aid. Acknowledging that the Strip is now approaching starvation, Netanyahu has said he'll allow limited aid to enter the enclave while reaffirming his plan to take over all of Gaza. And in case you think this move is designed to alleviate the suffering of Palestinians in the Strip, think again. Israel's Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich gave some details at a press conference today, saying this: in the coming days, Gaza residents will receive no more than a piece of pita bread and a plate of food from public kitchens. The lines are long, the need is real, and none of this will support Hamas. It will, however, enable the international community to maintain its backing of Israel at the UN and before the International Criminal Court, and allow us to continue our operations until Hamas is defeated. Smotrich also set out his assessment of Israel's assault on Gaza, as well as the importance of international complicity, saying this: truthfully, until the last hostage is returned, we should not even be sending water. But if we act that way, the world will force an immediate halt to our war. It would be a tactical win, but a strategic defeat. I'm committed to winning the war. Over the past year and a half, we have been striking Hamas and reducing Gaza to ruins, unprecedented in modern warfare. And yet the world has not stopped us. We are navigating this with prudence and determination. Ash, I mean, this is it's been explicit the whole time. But ever more so, right? So Smotrich is literally saying, we don't care if they're starving. The only reason we're giving them aid is because our Western backers are telling us to give them aid, and we can only really, fully carry out our genocide if we've got their support.
I think what we've seen in terms of the rhetorical shifts of the Israeli government is that they no longer feel the need to maintain the veneer of lawful warfare. So it wasn't that long ago, maybe a year ago, when you would see somebody like Tzipi Hotovely on Sky News talking about Al-Mawasi as a safe zone, saying, we are so concerned for the humanity of Palestinians. despite the fact that they're attacking us, we've created this safe zone and there are tents and we're providing resources. Now, no one's even bothering to do that. The same with bombing hospitals. When there were the first strikes on hospitals, you had Israeli government figures, pro Israel spokespeople in English speaking media saying it's absolutely disgusting that you would attack us of attacking a hospital, accuse us of attacking a hospital. Now, of course, they just do this out in the open. And I think that when it comes to the explicitness with which they talk about using starvation as a method of war, and also the way in which they row back just a tiny bit from it in order to preserve its alliances with Western powers, I think that tells you something about how confident Israel feels geopolitically. They feel incredibly confident that there's basically nothing getting in the way of them being able to roll out their genocidal plan for Gaza. They can count on a steady stream of military aid, of weapons. They can count on diplomatic cover at the UN. And that's something which the UK is wholly complicit in. And just on the matter of what Bezalel Smotrich said about, one plate of food and one pita bread. For many people in Gaza, they've been experiencing starvation for weeks now. I think that any right-minded person will look at those images of children with their stick-thin limbs and feel a level of profound disgust and outrage. And when the Israeli government is talking about allowing very small quantities of aid to enter the strip, that's not the same thing as humanitarian relief. It's like there is somebody strangling you, and every so often they just let a little bit of pressure off your windpipe before they set about doing the same thing again. I think that there is a level of cruelty. I think it's designed to try and break the spirit and the will of the Palestinian people. I think it's designed to try and pacify them, make them less likely to want to try and stay in their, their homeland of Gaza. So even this thing which is being presented to the West as a humanitarian effort, it feels to me as though there is a darker purpose behind it.
Well, I mean, they're being quite explicit that there is a darker purpose behind it, right? They're saying we're only doing this so we can keep your support to clear out the people of Gaza. And I suppose because we've read you the Smotrich quotes, which were the most explicit, but Netanyahu wasn't far off, to be honest. He was saying exactly the same thing, which is we are going to give a little bit of aid to get international support. And I suppose what that shows you is how little the Israeli public care about starving Gaza. It doesn't seem like there was any internal pressure. I'm sure you can find one or two people, right? But it doesn't seem like this is in any way a response to concern within Israel that they're starving 2 million people. It seems like Netanyahu and Smotrich are worried that by giving aid to Gaza, that will be unpopular unless, and actually I don't want to say giving aid to Gaza, I want to say by letting in food and water, because this isn't a sort of, we've decided to give aid now. It's we've decided to stop starving a population, not letting any food and water and medicine get in. This is not Israeli aid, by the way. This is other people, other aid agencies who want to provide food, who want to provide medicines, but they're being stopped by Israel, right? And the only way you can sell that to the Israeli public, it seems, is if you say, I know we're not going to starve them. I'm sorry we're not going to starve them, but hopefully this is just something that we need to do. We need to hold our tongues, give them, a little bit of baby food. That was one of the headlines today. Some baby food has been let into Gaza so that we can get away with ultimately destroying all of their homes, and then hopefully they'll just leave.
I think on what you said about the political complexion of the Israeli public, I mean, this is something that nobody likes to talk about in UK media. Absolutely nobody likes to talk about the multiple polls of, the Israeli electorate that says, yes, we really want this to continue. we really, really want this to continue, and shows that, in fact, that while Netanyahu as an individual may be unpopular in some circles and being perceived as corrupt, and yes, there are protests against him, it's because of the ways in which he's seen to degrade the Israeli political system, not because of what he stands for in terms of the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. The Israeli population has been radicalized into fascism and genocidal frenzy, to put it frankly. There are, of course, some individuals. There's, a handful of very small organizations that would consider themselves anti-occupation, but that is a highly, highly marginal position when it comes to the complexion of the Israeli electorate. And that is not something that you would hear anybody in the Times or the Guardian or the Observer talking about, because we have to maintain this fiction. And this fiction is that there is such thing as a two-state solution. And if we can just get people around the negotiating table, it might happen. And it's those barbarous, anti-Semitic, Hamas-loving Palestinians who are getting in the way. The level of gaslighting about the realities of Israeli politics and UK media it never fails to astonish me.